How to decipher the difference between good advice and bad advice? This is my general guide on figuring out what is fluff and what is genuinely good information. Because when you look at the world that we live in, the information age, there is so much information out there. If you do research on certain topics, you find multiple studies. Some of them are genuinely garbage and some of them are good. How do you tell the difference? Or sometimes somebody's giving you advice on stuff and it sounds good, but you can't quite there's something there that you can't quite put your finger on. And I don't think there is such thing as bad advice, to be honest. I think there is either advice that is misplaced, it's like a Lego piece that's in the wrong construction, or there's corrupted advice. There's advice that, it's corrupted. But I guess this is basically a long way of saying bad advice, a much more nuanced way of saying bad advice. And I would say don't listen to advice from someone who you wouldn't go to for critique, for criticism. Or the other way around. Don't take personally criticism from someone who you ordinarily wouldn't go to for advice. See? Use that as a guide, as a general. Think of it metaphorically, not too literally. Because of course there is always an exception. There is always someone who you wouldn't ordinarily go to for an opinion or insight on something, but they provide something like information that fits to a T to whatever you're trying to solve, whatever you're trying to build, whatever puzzle you're trying to solve. And bad advice, I'd say, often comes from someone who hasn't done enough research on whatever they're talking about. And good advice comes from someone who has done enough research. And keep that word in mind, enough. Because there is nobody who has done enough research. There is always more to something that somebody hasn't discovered yet. Otherwise, what would be the point of life if everything had been discovered? There's always something somebody hasn't discovered yet. See, there's always a rabbit hole in every subject. And it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And someone who gives good advice, there's often a quality of options. You feel that, okay, I have option A, option B, option C. I have multiple pathways I can walk down. Whereas someone who gives bad advice, it often feels like the path is narrow. There's only one road. It discourages every other option. And there is only one way to achieve a certain thing. And sometimes somebody who gives good advice can often tell you, yes, there's only one way to do something. But there is a quality of, it broadens your perspective on something. See? It broadens your insight on a particular thing. And then yes, there actually is only one way to do that thing. But somebody who is giving bad advice, it discourages you in a way. It blinds you from the next step. If somebody's giving you advice and you can see the next step that you need to take, that's good advice. But if the next step is almost, it's kind of blurry, there's a fog there, you must know it's corrupted. Or, it's corrupted. It hasn't, or it just hasn't been fully, whatever the advice they were giving, it's corrupted. It's corrupted. Let me say that. Sometimes corrupted advice has good advice within it. Let me give you an example. So let's say you're eating ice cream, and there's poop on this ice cream. Oh man, this is a terrible example, but I'm just gonna roll with it. So there's poop on this ice cream, and you need to filter out what is ice cream and what is poop. And then you scoop out the poop and you throw the poop aside and you eat the ice cream. But sometimes the poop just puts your appetite off completely, and you just don't want to eat the rest of the ice cream, and that's completely understandable. But sometimes there is advice that is genuinely a bitter pill to swallow. See, there's lots of gems within that advice, but it's covered by poop. It's a bitter pill. It's nasty. It's good, but it's bittersweet. Oh man, this is horrible. But it's the perfect example, I think. This is perfect analogy. Yeah, it's corrupted by something. Maybe a person is giving good advice, but they're displaying it in a very frustrated manner, or in an extreme manner. And that's when you need to decipher what is poop and what is ice cream. And sometimes there is more poop than ice cream. That's the thing. There is insight that there's something good there. And at that point, I'd say you probably shouldn't take it. You probably shouldn't eat that ice cream. You probably shouldn't try to filter out what is poop. Because there is this saying that you are the average of your friends. I think I'm butchering that saying, but it goes somewhere along those lines. And I think as well, you are the information that you consume. The information that you consume also consumes you. So if you listen to something long enough, you become a part of it, a part of its design, a part of it. If advice is corrupted, you also become corrupted. See, us human beings, we don't live in a vacuum. We take on a lot of information around us. And good advice, yeah, I think I said what I need to say. I'm not sure if there's anything else. I was gonna start talking nonsense or repeat myself, but I think I said what I needed to say. A person who gives good advice, they often truly try to understand your situation, whatever problem you're trying to solve. You know, it's like you have a hole in your wall, and they come with a measuring tape, and they try to measure exactly what kind of bricks does this person need. Whereas a person who gives advice that is misplaced, you know, it's a good Lego piece, but it's the wrong shape for what I'm trying to build or what I'm trying to fix. And they just give you a general advice. It's very generalized. It's very one size fits all in a way. And sometimes that advice is good. Sometimes it does fit, surprisingly. But a person who gives good advice often truly tries to understand, what do you need? What's the problem? And they measure the wall, and they give you the perfect brick. Or sometimes it needs a bit of time to cook. You need them a bit of time to think and cook good advice, and then they'll give it to you. Or they'll suggest you to somebody else who may advise you to something better. See, because their insight is very limited. Yeah. But anyways, with that said, thank you for listening, and until all are one.